The very popular mayor of Dallas, Texas, Eric Johnson, shocked party leaders when he announced he was not going to be a Democrat anymore. He's going to switch to a Republican.
Yeah, that's right. So the switch makes Dallas now the nation's largest city with a Republican mayor.
In a Fox and Friends exclusive, I had the chance to talk with the newly Republican mayor on his decision. Take a look.
The 60th mayor of the great city of Dallas, my friend, Mayor Johnson.
So, Mayor, you just made this big decision. You switched parties. I guess the question is, why?
The reality is there's a really big gap at this point in time between who I am, what's important to me, what I'm about, and where the Democratic Party is and what's important to them and what they're about. And that's really come to a head since I've become the mayor. Very soon after the whole defund the police nonsense started, activists showed up at my house trying to intentionally scare my family, scare my children, scare me into changing my very, very clear position that we were not going to do that in Dallas. And that really was sort of the eye-opener in terms of this party is really serious about protecting the criminal element over the law-abiding folks, and that they weren't really going to change.
I remember going around the country covering all these different protests.
Yeah.
And I remember they tried to shut the bridge down in Dallas. You stood with the cops when a lot of Democratic mayors were anti-cop at the moment. And you stood firm. Why?
Because I am a person of the people. I'm one of the people. I grew up in those communities. I know actually what the people over there want. They told me what they wanted. They want to live in a safe neighborhood, and they don't want the police to leave. They want more police. They want those police to be trained well. They want them to be practitioners of community policing, but they want them there. They didn't want the police department defunded. If I felt like you could actually be a true law and order, fiscally responsible Democrat, I would have done that. I tried that. You can. I'm living proof that you end up on an island isolated in that party if you try to do that.
You're not just the mayor of a top 10 major city that is now Republican, but you're a black man. So I guess the elephant in the room is, how is the community responding to their guy now being a Republican?
I actually believe that in time, they're going to start to ask themselves, why are we still Democrats? We trust him. He has never let us down. I believe that this is actually going to be a beginning in Dallas of black folk from the communities I've represented for so long saying, we need to give the Republican Party a look, especially today.
What is your message to the voter that's out here that's teetering, but they don't know if they can cross over to the Republican Party?
Get past the sound bites and get past the personalities and be honest with yourself about what's important to you.
This is about to be a big race in 2024. A lot of candidates in the race. Donald Trump seems to be the one that's leading the pack right now. Do you plan on weighing in on at any point?
Well, I don't plan on endorsing. I've been very clear about that, and that's because that's been my policy. I declined endorsing Joe Biden and when he was running for president the first time. But I'm going to be listening to the candidates, any of them that come to Dallas to visit, like Senator Scott did. I'll sit down with them.
Every Republican nationally, they want you to be on the road for the party. You know, do you plan on doing higher office? Is there a Senate run? You want to run for governor? What is it?
Yeah, that's the most common question I probably get is, what's next? What are you running for next? I got a one-word answer for you, Lawrence. Nothing. I'm not running for anything. I'm going to be the mayor of Dallas through the end of my term, and then I'm done running for elected office. I did say in my Wall Street Journal op-ed I want to get off the sidelines. Here's how I want to get off the sidelines. Cool. We need more fiscal conservatives and law and order people who have conservative principles, basically Republican principles, running for office at the local level, and particularly for mayor. We need more Republican mayors. We can't afford to let the cities look like they look right now. From San Francisco to Chicago to Philadelphia to DC, the news is filled every day with all this out of control, lawless behavior. It's because, again, it's a culture of lawlessness. It's lax DAs on the Democratic side, and it's local leaders, mayors on the Democratic side who've just created this environment. If you look at how I've governed, it's been Republican fiscal conservative principles, pro-law enforcement, pro-public safety principles. I'm just saying that is the kind of Republican I want to be, and we need more of them.
So there you have it, Brian. There's no real effort from the right to run conservative mayors. I think you just have the guy that has laid out a blueprint to get that done.
I mean, things have to get terrible before people examine and try to put in major change. And those cities, I'd add in New York after that, have to look into it. And for example, Eric Adams here in New York, he used to be a Republican, and he's fed up. He's on the edge. Would he be the next one? And should John James, Byron Donald, should this mayor get together with Tim Scott and say, let's just start a movement and let's maybe start doing appearances? You hop on The View and you hop on Charlemagne the God and start talking about it instead of just waiting for it to happen organically.
So true. I think the movement has already started. That question that you asked about how do voters feel, he said, I think that a lot of people are thinking, well, wait a second, I'm not a Democrat anymore either. And you do see a major party switch happening where Republicans are now, there's a lot of union workers, minorities that are trending red, and the college educated and rich folks are trending more blue, and that's a switch.
Yeah, ultimately, the proof is in the pudding. Dallas is, you get off the plane in Dallas, you feel safe.
Yeah.
Everything is clean. Everything works. It's beautiful.
And it's cheap. It's
cheaper.
Yeah. Cheaper.
And he stood with police in 2020, and you didn't see a lot of Democrat mayors doing that.
Right.
But do you really believe this is it for higher office,
I don't know. I take him at his word because he's not the type of Republican that is going to give this elaborate speech. And all. He's very simple.
Right.
Maybe not now, but in the future, I can see the party calling him on.
Exactly, because he's term limited.
Yeah.
So he's just got the one term. So next
if you're
thing you
meeting
know,
with Tim Scott and Vivek Ramaswamy, I'm sure that
But
you
he's not
have
gonna
some sort
endorse
of ambition.
anybody.
But that's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
Yeah.
All right, great job. I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.